First warning weather with meteorologist Jack Maney.
We had a pretty cold start to this morning and also a very cool thing happening out there. We had a very interesting lunar eclipse this morning. That was on the Beaver Moon. You can see this picture from our photographer, Jason Davis. This was just a magnificent sight to start out our day. The moon turning shades of red. This is about a 95% partial eclipse, not quite getting that last sliver of the moon into the Earth's shadow this morning, but that was quite the beautiful way to start out our day. On our radar, things are pretty much completely clear. There's just a few high and thin clouds out there in the sky right now, and those really not going to do much to inhibit us from warming up this afternoon as we head towards a high temperature in the middle 60s. Right now we're at 57 with a strong wind out of the south-southwest at 20 miles per hour, and also our dew point still quite dry, but that has come up just a little bit. Those south winds tend to bring in just a little bit of moisture on them, so we are seeing just slightly less dry conditions, but still definitely a chapstick alert for this afternoon as we still are quite desert dry. 57 degrees right now. A lot of folks out to the west are still in the middle 50s, and the places in the rolling plains are now over the 60-degree mark. 62 degrees in Jayton and 61 in Guthrie right now this afternoon. Now our afternoon temperatures are looking pretty nice. If you like it a little bit more on the cool side, with a high around 64 or maybe even just nudging up to 65 this afternoon before we start to cool things off as we bring in the sunset. But notice it is pretty slow cooling through this evening. We are going to have continued strong winds during the overnight hours, and that tends to disrupt our radiational processes that get all of the heat out of here. So I think we will probably see a low temperature, a little warmer than it was this morning, with about 40 degrees, maybe a few degrees warmer than that for some folks, not even dropping out of the 50s out there in the rolling plains for a couple spots. And then tomorrow, that will leave us poised for a quick warm up into the mid to upper 70s, well above average for this calendar date for tomorrow. So that's looking like pretty good news for the Texas Tech game, but unfortunately for the game, it is an hour after sunset when it is kickoff time, so 61 degrees expected for the kickoff, and it'll continue to get cooler throughout the game. And also, big changes are coming up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, tracking yet another cold front on the way thanks to this trough swinging through the Great Lakes, just like several others have over the last couple weeks. But then we are going to bring in a little bit of a pattern shift with another trough coming in off the west coast. That one is in finally a prime position to give us a little bit of a rain chance coming up towards Thanksgiving. As that approaches, we'll see moisture surging to the north out of the Gulf of Mexico, and I think that will be the first time we've seen any real appreciable rainfall chances over the last month and a half or so. The Climate Prediction Center's outlook in the longer term is favoring this, and here's just one model's guess at how much we might see over towards the end of next week. Maybe a half inch, for some folks maybe approaching an inch. This is still very, very far out into the future, and we are not going to be taking this as the gospel or anything just yet. But what it does indicate for me is that we have a rain chance on that 7-day forecast coming up towards the end of next week on Thanksgiving. Right now, keeping it low, 20%, but it does come with a pretty strong cool down, and I think a really nice shift away from the cool and dry pattern that we've had over the last several weeks. Now, we do have quite a bit more dry weather to go before we get there, though. 77 degrees tomorrow for your Saturday, and then that cold front rise takes us back a little bit closer to our normal high in the middle 60s by the start of next week.
Thank you so much, Jack. And we're bringing you breaking news in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. He is put not guilty on all accounts, and we'll give you more information on everythinglubbock.com. We're coming up on KLBK News at noon. Gail joins us from the Rehab for Wildlife Friday. We'll be right back.